What if the cure for modern addiction wasn't found in a clinic, but in a prayer? This is how ancient faith is rewiring the addicted brain. But beneath the surface of this modern pleasure-seeking lies a profound crisis. For millions, the pursuit of having it now has become a slippery slope into addiction, a state where uninhibited desires grow stronger every time they are fed, eventually becoming overriding compulsions. While secular recovery models often categorize addiction as a chronic relapsing disease or a physiological malfunction of the brain's reward system, Islamic psychospiritual therapy offers a different lens. It views addiction not merely as a clinical diagnosis, but as a disruption of the fitro, the primordial human nature oriented toward the divine. In this framework, the human being is a complex integration of the physical body, the AKL intellect, and the raw spirit, all mediated by the Nafs, the self, or soul. In Islamic tradition, addiction is historically categorized under the expansive definition of camera term, derived from the Arabic root kamara, meaning to cover or hide. An intoxicant is called kamru because it literally clouds or covers the intellect, obscuring rational judgment and moral clarity. When the mind is covered, a state of spiritual and cognitive enslavement occurs where the lower desires, known as hawa, usurp the throne of the intellect. To understand how we get trapped, we look to the 14th century scholar Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah. Long before modern addiction science, he identified that behavioral dependencies progress through three distinct stages. First is ITF, or habituation, where engagement is fueled by pleasure and the individual still possesses voluntary control. Next is tahammul, or tolerance, where the routine evolves into a necessity and a tie of dependency develops, requiring an increased dose to achieve the same pleasure. Finally, we reach istibad, which literally means enslavement. At this zenith, the addiction controls the body, soul, and mind entirely. Ibn al-Qayyim famously used the metaphor of a bird attracted to a seed in a trap. It is so focused on the pleasure of the seed that it fails to see the cage until the door snaps shut. This is where the divergence between secular and Islamic models becomes most apparent. Secular models, such as the famous 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, ask the individual to admit they are powerless over a substance. However, the Islamic adaptation, known as Maladi Islami, shifts the perspective. Step 1 of Maladi Islami involves admitting that we were neglectful of our higher selves. This acknowledges that the human soul has a noble, higher potential that has been buried under the weight of desire. While secular programs speak of a higher power as we understood him, Malati Islami explicitly centers on Allah as the unique authority, identifies addiction as a state of ghafla, or spiritual forgetfulness. Recovery, therefore, is not just about stopping a behavior. It is about tatskatan nefsa, purification of the soul. It is a journey from the nafs al-amara, the commanding self driven by base instincts, toward the nafs al-mutmina, the tranquil self that is at peace and in harmony with God's will. In Southeast Asia, a radical model known as the Naba method puts these spiritual theories into intense practice. Naba utilizes a cold turkey detoxification approach, replacing the drug supply with an intensive spiritual food. One of their most unique interventions is Mandi Taubat, or the repentant bath. Conducted at 2 a.m., the time of the tahajjud prayer, this form of hydrotherapy is intended to shave off physical dependence while purifying the internal soul from filth and defilement. This is followed by intensive dhikr remembrance and a rigorous schedule of prayers. But does this spiritual technology actually work on the brain? Modern neuroscience says yes. Researchers studying neuroplasticity, the brain, its ability to rewire itself through repetition, have found that consistent Islamic rituals act as a daily mind-body reset. Take the act of salah prayer. Standing, bowing, and concentrating 5 times a day activates the prefrontal cortex (PFC), the executive center of the brain responsible for self-control, moral judgment, and decision-making. By repeatedly turning away from worldly distractions to focus on the divine, the believer is quite literally strengthening the mental muscle required to override impulsive reactions. Then there is sujud prostration, 2019 fMRI study assessed Muslim participants during prostration and found that this specific posture was associated with decreased activation in the amygdala, the area of the brain responsible for fear, stress, and aggression. Sujud induces a biological state of safety and grounding, engaging the parasympathetic nervous system to bring the body into a state of rest. Even psalm fasting serves as a neurological intervention. By abstaining from food and water for 16 hours, the brain is trained to delay gratification. This strengthens the PFC and builds the resilience necessary to abstain from addictive substances when the urge arises. As the Quran states, "Indeed, with hardship comes ease." For those in the depths of struggle, the Islamic model offers a unique theology of hope that secular models often lack. In secular settings, a relapse can feel like a total failure of the system. In the Islamic framework, however, the Prophet taught that one who repents from a sin is like one who never committed it. There is a powerful hadith that explains, if a person intends to do an evil deed but resists it for the sake of Allah, it is recorded as a complete good deed. This means that for an addict, living one day at a time, every single moment spent resisting a craving is earning them spiritual rank.